Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Princeton, West Virginia. River Network takes our show on the road with the Oak Hill Red Devils for what we think might just be one of the best games across the state of West Virginia, certainly the most anticipated, or at least up there. Lucas Berry alongside Chris Rader. And Chris, Oak Hill's defense is what they've been hanging their hat on for the last couple of years, but I would venture to say Princeton might have the best offense in the state.
Well, they're right up there, and Oak Hill's defenses will be sorely tested tonight, much more so than the first two games against Nicholas County and Riverside. Now, that's not to take anything away from these teams, but I mentioned last week in our broadcast that you look at QB wide receiver combos, Chance Barker and Bradley Mosser, I would put that up with any in the state, and Princeton will definitely test Oak Hill. And I'll tell you what Princeton does really well, Lucas. They make you defend every square inch of the field. It's 100 yards long, it's 53 and a half yards wide, and they will make you defend every square inch of it. They will test you vertically, they throw laterally a lot, they throw a lot of screen passes, and they'll have Barker throw from the far hash to the far sideline, 30 yards just to complete an out. So Oak Hill's defense will be tested all over the field tonight.
I want to give you some stats I found just to highlight it. Chance Barker is averaging 258 yards passing per game in high school. Granted, that's only 2 games, but still that's 516 yards in the first 2 games. That's getting it.
Well, in high school, those are big numbers. Yeah, we don't typically play a lot of quarterbacks that have those kind of numbers. He's had a really nice career. He's a third-year starter for the Tigers. They've been wildly successful with Chance Barker at the helm. And, I think we're kind of in the golden era of Princeton Tiger football, at least in the time that I've been alive. I've never seen Princeton with these type of consistent year-in, year-out teams, and they've been one of the best teams in AAA the last couple of years, and they're shaping up it's trending that way again for Princeton.
You're right, and speaking of consistency, we have a new head coach. Nate Tanner takes over the helm of the Tigers, so we'll see if he can continue his program's success. There's no reason to think he can't. And Oak Hill will take the defense first, have a chance to see the Princeton offense first.
Yeah, we'll see that explosive Tiger offense first. And, yeah, you're right, and I mentioned this last week. It's kind of a quirk. This is actually Oak Hill's third straight opponent that's breaking in a new head coach. But, Tanner is taking over a situation that's very envious for a lot of coaches in the state. While Princeton has lost some good players the last couple of years, the cupboard is certainly not bare. We mentioned Chance Barker. We mentioned Bradley Mosser. Landon Moore is a right tackle who is getting a lot of D1 looks from different schools around the country. They think he's going to be their next great lineman. Jimmy Bowling's a really good lineman. They've picked up a couple of transfers from Bluefield and JoJo Campbell, and then Landon Crane. So they picked up that. Frankly, the last 2 or 3 years, the transfer market's been pretty good for Princeton. And they got a couple of kids that are coming in from Bluefield that are playing key roles. So, yeah, the cupboard is not bare, and he stepped into a pretty good situation here this year.
So we're about to see how this thing plays out. We'll see that Tiger offense out first. Princeton in the all-black uniforms with the blue and white helmet with really nice, legible white numbers on the back. Thank you, Princeton.
So Brad Compton had told me they want to try to get it in the end zone if they can. We've seen Andrew Wingrove been able to do that. Now, the chance you take with that is if it doesn't get into the end zone, you see Bradley Mosser, number 1 back there, is one of the return men. And he told me, Brad Compton told me, he said if Mosser gets his hands on a kickoff return, our kicker's made a mistake. He said even if we drive it deep, we're trying to drive it away from him. And then we'll see if they can't do that. I'm sure we'll just see squibbing it. But he made it a point to tell me they really do not want to kick it to Bradley Mosser. He is a very dangerous return man. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The last time we were here, it seemed like, Princeton ran away with that game 37-7, but it seemed like they never really had to go long because that ball didn't really get past like the 35.
Yeah, Princeton, they took control of that game early against Oak Hill. That was the Princeton team that ended up finishing as state runners-up that year. They took control, and they kind of stepped on Oak Hill's throat, and they did a great job against the Devils that night, or that afternoon, actually.
When you and I were amongst the people, and you're still amongst the people. Chris Rader is a man of the people, everyone.
So I'm right on the top bleacher among Princeton fans. So if I'm very complimentary of Princeton, I don't want to have to fight my way out of here. But they give you a lot of reasons to be complimentary.
Yes, they do. That's a really good football team. They've won 14 of their last 15 games, stretching over the last 2 years. That tells you anything. Then again, Oak Hill's won 12 of their last 15. So 2 pretty good football teams in the last few years, and this game is underway and that kick will not reach the end zone. It's going to be Bradley Moss taking it out from the 15 to the 20, 25. He's got the 40, and he's gone.
Well, I told you, Brad Compton told me if he gets his hands on a kickoff, it's a mistake. And we saw a 95-yard mistake that time. Andrew Wingrove couldn't quite get it in the end zone. And Lucas, my guess is the rest of the game we're going to see Oak Hill squib that ball. But you saw why Oak Hill did not want to put it in Bradley Mosser's hands. Now, he's a dangerous return man. Frankly, Oak Hill's got to do a better job of covering that kick, though. Nobody even really came close to laying a hand on him. So that's actually poor special teams play on Oak Hill's part, too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever declared anyone gone that fast, but you could tell once he got to the 40, his own 40, he was not going to be caught. And coming on here for Princeton, Chris, is that number 8, I think, at the kicking spot? Number 8 or number 6?
That's number 8. I don't have an 8 on my roster.
I do not either. Let us find out.
So we might have to effort getting who this kid is, but he's going to come on and kick the extra point.
The snap is back. The kick is up. It's on the way, and that kick is good. And just 17 seconds in the football game, Princeton has a 1-0 lead, 7-0 lead.
Get out of your soccer mode, man.
Yeah. But it's pretty much the exact same script we saw Oak Hill getting up to an early lead last week against Riverside, and Riverside pretty much had an uphill battle. We'll see if Oak Hill can counter that and perhaps avoid that narrative.
Yes, Oak Hill, we're going to see them get their first offensive possession tonight. And, you know, this is a cliche what I'm getting ready to say, but I really do think the key for Oak Hill is they have to play a clean game. To beat a team as good as Princeton, you can't hurt yourself. You can't have turnovers. You can't have penalties. And we saw a lot of penalties for Oak Hill last week against Riverside. And I mentioned in the broadcast last week that would be a coaching point. So even though they got the win, I'm sure Coach Marion was telling them, guys, we cannot afford these kind of penalties against a team like Princeton this week. So for Oak Hill to have any shot in this game offensively, we can't see pre-snap penalties. We can't see, legal motions. We can't see holds. We can't see formation errors. Oak Hill has to get lined up correctly and then execute their plays.
Kicking for the Tigers, number 8, Anthony Meadows.
Anthony Meadows. Thank you, PA announcer. Number 8 is Anthony Meadows. That makes it easy.
He was number 57 on the SSAC roster, so if you got that...
Well, that's a long way from 8.
Yes, it is. It's a very long way from 8. Nothing a little pin can't fix. All right. Ball's in the air, and it will be fielded at about the 10-yard line. Can't see who that was, the Devils.
That's Z. Lewis. He's got a lane, too.
20. He's going to try to bounce it inside, and he'll get swarmed down by a whole host of Tigers eventually.
If Z keeps running vertically, he gets more out of that. Z had a lane, and he paused, and I'm not sure why he did that, but Z had a lane, and he just needs to hit that lane, and he could have got 10 more yards.